Okay everybody, welcome back to Bullet Basics. Today the long-awaited video has finally arrived, and that is comparing the 8 pistols that you guys have seen, at least in the reviews so far. A couple of them are still to come, but we are going to be comparing and contrasting. I do have Mrs. Bullet Basics here with us, something like that. It's Tori, she is my wife. She's here to give another perspective. She's not, I wouldn't say she's really a beginner so much as she is just another perspective. She's definitely not as experienced with guns as I am. I'm always out shooting all the time, going and training and practicing all kinds of stuff. She goes with me occasionally, and so she has a lot of time behind guns, but not nearly as much as me. And so,
but hopefully I'll be able to bring a new perspective.
Definitely, it will help, especially from the woman's perspective, who tend to be smaller, shorter. You're about what, 5'3"? Mm-hmm. And I'm about 6 feet tall, so that'll definitely be two different perspectives. Okay, we got to the end of the video, realized we didn't put this in. You can go and find any of the information that you're looking for on any of these guns and pretty much any gear there is on our website at bulletbasics.com/recommendations. And that's kind of where we recommend everything. If you guys want to support the channel, you can do that down there. There are affiliate links and stuff there, so you know, if that's something you guys want to click through to support the channel, we really appreciate it. If not, you can just look at the recommendations and go around and do it yourself. So before we get into it though, we got to send it over to Norm. Norm says he's got some really good stuff planned for us, so take it, Norm. All right, you guys, let's get some brainstorming done. What ideas have you come up with in the past week? Anything? Norm? Why don't you propose an idea or two?
Huh? What? Oh, yeah, just 1 second. Okay, whoa. Here's the idea. Watch. Well, you said propose an idea.
Hey, Norm's getting pretty good. For those of you that haven't been around, Norm has gotten quite a bit better than he used to be. For those of you who've been here along the way, you've seen the improvement. Okay, so I want to quickly say that the comparison here isn't necessarily fair. At least it's going to be an apples to orange comparison, and we understand that, right? Some of these pistols are way bigger than others. Some are way more expensive than others. It's just going to be kind of a comparing everything that we can and saying, you know, which one's going to leave with me? Because ultimately that's all that really matters. If I'm going to grab a gun and leave the house, which one's leaving with me and which one isn't? And we wanted to see, is it worth it to pay up to some more expensive ones? Do I really care if it's bigger? All that kind of thing. And so we're well aware of that, but I do also want to talk about the sizes and everything that there is to talk about with these ones. Before we get ahead of ourselves and start talking about the different parts of the guns that we like the most, I did want to describe each one of the ones that we have here in front of us so that you guys know. We have the Canik TP9 SF Elite Subcompact.
Quite the mouthful.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I mean, that's just a long name. So we have that one, which is one we liked a lot. So we have the Glock 43 as well, which is very popular, a very common one. We have the Walther PPS. This is the M2. We also have Springfield Hellcat, which hasn't been out very long. I think less than a year now, and it's very popular as well. We've got the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, which is actually the first version, not the second, 2.0, whatever they call it. We have the Springfield, or I'm sorry, this is not a Springfield. This is in fact a Sig P365. We also have the Taurus, however you'd like to say it, PT111. So this is kind of one of the first versions. Obviously they have new versions out and kind of some updated stuff. We just had it, so we wanted to include it. Figured it's going to be useful regardless. As long as the newer versions are reliable, those are going to earn better marks than these ones probably. So the last one we have is the Ruger EC9s, and this is probably, well, I guess with the exception of the PT111, it's the cheapest one on the table, and we enjoyed reviewing this one as well. So we've got them all. They're all here, all 8 guns. Let's get into it. We kind of are going to, like I said, we're going to do a superlatives kind of best of and probably do worst of as well for each category. And I think I want to start with the trigger because that's one of my favorite things, and honestly, a good trigger can help people be very accurate very quickly. So I'm actually going to put you on the spot here. Which trigger did you like the best?
Okay, For me, I'm kind of critical of triggers just because I have smaller hands, and so it's a little bit harder for me with some of the ones that have safeties with the trigger. So like one of the ones I didn't do well with was the Hellcat, but for me probably the best trigger was the Canik. I really liked the Canik, the brake. It's
crisp.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of creep, not a lot of all that junk that you don't want in your trigger.
Yeah, I really like the Canik. The other one that I really liked though would have been the Sig. I really like the Sig. I shot this well. I just liked everything about it. So the trigger I think was really great on this one.
I agree. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I agree. Both of those I think are really good. The resets on those are perfect. They're not very long. They're crisp. They're audible. They're tactile. They're just very easy to shoot with. Was you going to say something else?
One of the ones that I think had not as well. Do you want to say your favorite first?
Yes. Okay. My favorite. I would say also the Canik TP9 Elite subcompact. However, I think if we were to disqualify that one, because I know there's a lot of people out there. In fact, I've talked to a lot of people that carry full-size pistols, Glock 17s, and some of the compacts, Glock 19s and stuff. I'm not one of those people. You aren't either. Most people I don't think do that. This one would qualify as one of those bigger ones. It's just a big, thick, heavy gun. And so if we were to take that one out of the running, I think I preferred the Springfield Hellcat trigger the most. However, there's a big caveat, kind of. When Tori went to shoot it one time, it malfunctioned in that she apparently didn't get a grip or whatever it was.
Yeah, and on the side, my finger kind of went onto the side. I don't know how well this is going to show, but maybe we can do a video later. But the middle safety didn't engage, and so as I'm shooting it, it was almost like it was locked or something. Like the safety was engaging,
right.
So it just wouldn't let me shoot it. But I was ready to shoot. So with a concealed carry, you need it to go bang as soon as you're ready for it to go bang. So that was kind of scary for me, just because it's like, okay, I don't really want this one to be my concealed carry when I'm going to shoot it. It needs to go, and it's catching for me for some reason. I think it's because my hands are small, and
if you don't reach around the trigger and pull it exactly right, perfectly back, sometimes it can have that issue. Now, people have corrected me they've told me that that's what, hey, a safety's supposed to stop the gun from firing.
Right.
Obviously, we all know that. What we're talking about though is if you engage not the blade, the trigger first, and then you try to engage the blade intentionally, you go to try to engage the safety to get the gun to fire, like in a self-defense situation, and you don't get a good grip, and you're trying to engage it, it still wouldn't do that. And so that was a little bit of a worry.
So for my finger, it's just not long enough to get the perfect, pull back on it. And so it was coming from the side first, and it was just catching it up. And with a concealed carry, you just can't have that.
Right.
So it's still great to shoot, and it had a great trigger once I got it to engage. But for me, I just had something. But for you, it didn't happen.
I didn't see that at all. And in a perfect world, that's not an issue because you're going to grab the gun perfectly, you're going to get your finger on it perfectly, you're going to pull it perfectly. But in a non-perfect world where you're trying to grab it as someone's trying to harm you, that can be an issue. Now, I will say as well, it doesn't really do it as much anymore. It seems to be working its way out of that. And other people have said that they haven't had any issues with that. It's not a wide problem, big problem, but it's something to understand and know and just be aware of. Now, like Tori said, I've never seen this issue, and so I'm not worried about it. And especially after 300 rounds have gone through this thing, it's not really much of an issue. So my favorite trigger was probably the Hellcat, but there is that understanding. Let's talk about worst trigger of the ones on the table. I would have to say personally, I would go with the Ruger EC9s. It's more of like a double action trigger. It's very long, and then when you reset it, there's not a good audible tactile reset, and it's a long reset. You got to go all the way back out. And so when I was shooting it, I had issues thinking I had reset it, and I hadn't, and then the gun wouldn't shoot and stuff. So I would say that was mine.
Taurus has another really long trigger.
At least a really bad one.
Yeah, but other than that, I would say the Ruger. So.
EC9s, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, that would we say for our triggers. Canik took the cake. They always do for us. We love them. Actually, we have a review on kind of all the Canik pistols, or some of the most popular ones. You can see it here. But other than that, the ones we mentioned are those. Okay, time to talk about sights. Okay, I don't know. Honestly, there were several. I didn't really hate any of them. Again, I'd probably go with the Canik on sights. And I don't even necessarily know why, because it's a blacked out rear and then a front white dot or yellow dot, I guess. There's just something about them, though. I don't know what it is. Typically, I don't like blacked out rear or don't like them as much. I'd much rather have kind of the 3-dot traditional style. But there's something about the way these ones look, and we'll roll some stuff in so you guys can see it, that I just really, really enjoyed.
The one that kind of stuck out to me was the Walther. They've got the night sights, right?
Yeah, the phosphorus 3-dot.
And I just always am kind of a fan of that, so that one stuck out to me, but I liked that one. And then, yeah, the Canik was good.
Yeah, if I were going to give a second place,
Not super picky on sights,
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to say, but...
If I were going to pick a second, I'd pick the Hellcat. It's got kind of a U-notch here, similar to Glock style, with that front sight as well. That's yellow, which I believe is glow in the dark as well. So that would be my second. Okay, is there anything else to do with sights? I don't think so. Let's move on to reliability. We're going to switch gears a little bit and go into reliability.
They were all pretty reliable. I wouldn't say there's any that, well...
Yeah, there were a couple of malfunctions here. What was it? The Shield, the Ruger, the Taurus. What was the other one that malfunctioned? Oh, the Glock. The Glock, which was the surprising one, right? So these four, so the MNP Shield, the Ruger EC9s, the Taurus PT111, and the Glock 43, all of these had one malfunction, and it was all with the exact same ammo. And every other gun that I own, the full-size guns, compact guns, every single one of those has had an issue with this ammo. It's just horribly, horribly crappy ammo, and it's just underpowered, no good. However,
Glocks are reliable, so that should give you, I mean...
Right. The Glock is the one, and this one actually was kind of a big deal. We couldn't get that shell out, that casing out of the gun very easily. So obviously it was
kind of a ammo kind of issue going
on. But I mean, that's something to be said about the Hellcat, the Sig P365, the PPQ, and the Canik TP9 Elite Subcompact, because those ones didn't even hiccup. They didn't have an issue, so that was kind of cool, even with that ammo that we ran through it. So, but with that said, I would say all 8 of them completely reliable, in my opinion, as long as you don't have really, really bad ammo that just makes every gun malfunction. They were all, at most, we had 1 out of these 4 and none out of the other ones. So as far as me considering it a reliable handgun that I would not, I wouldn't worry about any of them, I guess is what I'm saying. Taking them out, carrying them, whatever, I know they're going to work. Yep. So we'll leave that one there. Now we're going to shift gears and talk about concealability. Now we're going to break this one into 2 sections. The first section being kind of the size to capacity ratio, getting your best capacity for the smallest gun that you can, as well as we're going to also do just kind of a smallest, most concealed gun that we can find on the table. So of those, let's start with the capacity to size ratio. Which do you choose? Okay,
so if I'm going to conceal on my person, the smaller but still has a lot of capacity, I'd go for the Sig. I really like this gun. It's small enough that I feel like if I'm wearing the right clothes and stuff, I could conceal it. With females, I feel like it's hard to conceal just because women's clothing is tighter. Men have like more loose-fitting clothing. Yeah. If I'm going to conceal in a bag, like a purse or something, I actually really like the Canik. But obviously, this is a bigger gun. This is not going to be concealed on my body.
Definitely not.
So I would say Sig for on my person, Canik for in a bag, as far as capacity goes.
Yeah, the only change I would make is, again, like I said, I'm not the person that would conceal a gun as big as this. Other people do it, and more power to you. I hate it. So I would go for the Hellcat. You get the 1 extra round, not much more in the overall size of the gun, and it's a gun I prefer to shoot. It's just, it shoots, it helps me be accurate very quickly, and so I really enjoy that aspect of it. And so I guess a close second would be the Sig. I did like shooting it a lot. I just didn't quite like it as much as the Hellcat. Okay, so then let's talk about not capacity necessarily. If we're talking about kind of the most concealable, smallest, whatever, they're all pretty similar.
In my opinion, I think the Ruger is the smallest on the table when we're just looking at them. It just looks thinner
definitely
here.
Feels the smallest, even if it's not actually.
Yeah, it feels thinner. It feels smaller to me. I mean, when you're measuring it, it's similar in size, but the Ruger looks the smallest to me.
Yeah, definitely. I would, if I would have to choose one, right? Definitely it's the Ruger, the smallest one. But if I had to choose between the Ruger and taking a little bit bigger for the Glock, it seems smaller. It's really not that much smaller, if at all smaller, than the P365 and the Hellcat. But I enjoyed the Glock more than I thought I would. But overall smallest, I guess it might be the Ruger. So take that for what it is. I mean, most of those, besides the Canik TP9 and the PT111 from Taurus, pretty much all the other ones are fairly similar in size. Okay, so let's talk about the aesthetics, which we all know is the most important of everything. And so let's talk aesthetics. Which one's the prettiest gun? The belle of the ball.
Most likely to be the prom queen.
Yes.
For me, this may surprise you, but for me, I actually really like the Glock. I love the look of the Glock.
Glock,
I think,
you say.
I know there's a big fan base for the Glock, and I actually usually lean towards Sigs.
You do like Sig. She's a snob.
But I don't shoot Glocks as well, but I do think they're really pretty. So I just like the way it looks. I think it's very clean, very nice. So I would say Glock is the prettiest.
Okay. If I'm going to choose, I would actually choose the Glock as well, which is a surprise to everyone that knows me because I don't hate Glocks. I think they're great guns, but I also don't gravitate toward them. I actually have a lot of M&Ps, full size, this small one. I have several M&Ps. I have XDs. I go Springfield, Smith & Wesson, geez, pretty much everything but Glock for no real reason other than I just think they're very plain looking and very, I just think you can go elsewhere. However, when you get to these small ones, there's just something about the simplistic design of Glock that looks really good. A lot of these other guns look a little busy, like the Shield, I think, is a little busy. I think Coleon Noor said that years ago when he was talking about these together, and I agree. The M&P is a little busy. These guns look nice, but there's just something about that simplistic design of the Glock that I really enjoy. So. Yeah. Glock takes it.
They all look really nice. Another really cool looking gun for me is the Canik, though.
Oh yeah, that is a good one.
I do love this Canik. She loves the Canik. I do. I just think it looks really cool and really nice, but probably Glock first, then Canik.
Okay, so let's talk about the ugliest gun. Poor Ruger is the ugliest gun. Now, again, it's a fine gun. It works. All that really matters is that it shoots when you need it to shoot. But in my opinion, a little less. Granted, it's only $250, so of course it's not quite up to par with some of these others. But it should be said. Time to talk about the grip. Now, the grip obviously is a very important thing because it's going to be what helps you be accurate and get a good purchase on the gun, keep from all the muzzle flip and everything down. It can be very important when concealed carrying, especially with these smaller guns. So, if I was going to talk about the grip that I liked the most, it's really a tie between two of them, and it's between the Springfield Hellcat and the Sig P365. I think these two companies looked around the industry, listened to people, and said, you know what, everyone talks about having a little bit more aggressive stippling here. We're going to do that. And so both of them did it. If I had to choose one, I would choose the Hellcat, I think. I prefer the Hellcat's grip. It's a little less aggressive, but aggressive enough to keep a good grip, you know, and really get a good purchase on the gun. And quite honestly, it helps me be accurate very quickly and get a good sight picture. It's got grip all the way around, even up here higher.
Really nice.
It's even got it where you'd put your index finger where you'd rest it. So everything about it, I really, really enjoyed. Yeah. What about you?
I'd have to agree. I really like the Sig, and I really like the Hellcat.
Can only pick one.
But for me, I shoot the Sig better, and I just liked how it shot better. So I would have to say Sig for as far as the grip goes. One that actually gave me a little bit of trouble, which was surprising, was the Canik.
Yeah, that's right.
What is this called? The checkering? Or
kind of checkering there on the front and the back.
On the front, it kind of hurt my hand, as lame as that sounds. But as you know, as you're shooting several rounds through the gun, it was just kind of rubbing against my hand and it hurt. So didn't love that because it has kind of a similar thing with Glock, but the Glock was a little bit smoother and it didn't hurt as much. So, although I do wish that Glock would have put some stippling.
Yeah, they really need to get on the times with, you know, actually get some good stuff on there, although some people prefer it. Yeah. If I were to choose one that I didn't like, the Ruger, and really it doesn't even have to do with the whatever this stippling is, I guess, on everywhere. It's the shape. It's really fatter in the back and gets really narrow in the front. And I guess for some people that's nice because I guess it's technically more concealable, but for me, I just don't like it. It's too thin in the front and too fat in the back. I'd rather have it be a little bit more even throughout the whole way.
One of the ones that I didn't like was the Walther, because it's wide, I guess, length. So it's longer than it is wide versus like the Hellcat.
The ratio you're talking about? Yeah, I agree.
The Hellcat is equal. The length and the width are both wider. And so it feels, right in the hand. Whereas this one, the length is longer, but then it's narrower for the width, and it just feels unequal, and it just kind of feels a little bit more awkward. So I didn't really prefer the Walther for that reason, versus like the Hellcat also has a big grip, and the bigger grips are a little bit harder for me just because of my smaller hands. So like the Shield kind of has one of those longer grips as well, but the Sig felt a little bit better, a little bit smaller of a grip for me.
Yep. And I think that's the reason I don't like the Sig as much. It's just a little bit too small for me. I like a slightly larger grip. So yeah, I mean, that's good. Okay, so if we're gonna bring it all together now, we're gonna bring it all together. We're not gonna look at the individual parts. We're gonna say most likely to leave the house with you as your concealed carry gun. Which one is it? We're gonna go with you first.
All right, and I'm wearing it on me.
I don't think it's that big of a surprise.
If I'm wearing it on me, then it's gonna be the Sig.
Yeah.
It's smaller, but it's got some capacity. I shot it well. I like the grip on it. Just kind of all around, I just liked it. I would have to pick this one. But what about you?
Okay, so it's very close for me, and I think it's more obvious because of the extra round count you get for these two. But I would take Hellcat first, which kind of you've probably seen in the other some of the other categories we've gone over, that this is the one that I gravitated toward. This would be the number one. Sig would be a pretty close number two. That if I have to choose a number three, especially if this one had higher capacity, this would actually be pretty high. I don't know what it is about it. There's no individual parts that I love.
Yeah, I really liked it a lot. I just don't shoot it super well, so that's why I wouldn't pick it. But if it's one where you pick it up and you are just kind of naturally good at shooting it, then I really like the Glock a lot. Yeah,
I don't know what it was. Like, I didn't like any individual part, but there's something about it that I kept coming back to. I was like, I have fun shooting that gun. I like it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why. I don't know what Glock's doing. Maybe they understand that, hey, any individual part doesn't need to be the best, but
overall,
if we can just put a good gun together, hey, people will buy it, and they'll buy it at a premium compared to some of these other guns. So it's a great gun. Okay. I wanted to do one more, and I'm going to spring this one on Tori, and she's going to have to tell me. I'm going to make her go first again. But if we're going to talk about the most improved throughout our reviewing of the 8 guns here, most improved throughout the review, what is it?
Honestly, the Ruger is not a bad gun. It's pretty good.
The Ruger.
It was reliable, and it's small. It would be very concealable, and for the price, it's not too bad. So I would say the Ruger, if you're looking at it, don't count it out. It was reliable and it was good. So
yes. Okay. I think I have to agree. The Ruger would be my most improved, either that or the Taurus. I like the Taurus though. I don't know that I really didn't like it, so I don't know there's a ton of improvement. I really enjoyed the EC9s though, because at first I thought, I will hate this gun. I hate everything about it. I hate how it looks. I hate how it feels in the hand. I hate how it shoots. But I tell you, after about 100, 150 rounds to this gun, I was accurate. I was quick. It shot every round I shot through it, but the one we talked about, it really did the job. And so I was thoroughly impressed with how much I came to like it. And if you're on a budget, $250 compared to, it's half as much as the P365 or the Hellcat. And so if you don't really care, it doesn't really matter to you, this may be one you want to look at. But I will say the Hellcat is the one I'd leave my house with. So take that all for what it's worth. You guys are going to develop your own opinions. Obviously, these are our opinions. You'll have your own. We'd love to hear about it down in the comments below. Feel free to leave the comments. Also, if we earned your subscription today, which we hope we did, subscribe down below, like, do whatever you can to engage. Watch our videos all the way through to show YouTube that this is good content. You guys are enjoying it. I guess we'll leave it there.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.